All right, so now we're going to take a look at the male reproductive system, and then we have a few fetal structures that we'll look at as well. Again, another note that this is a visually graphic PowerPoint, so if you are viewing this at home, you may want to ensure that your children are not present if you have young children. So let's move right along. So for the male reproductive system, we do have both internal and external, mostly external actually reproductive organs, but there are still some things inside, which work together to produce sperm, the male gamete, and other components of semen and deliver that semen out of the body and to the vagina. All right, so here's your list of structures that we're going to be looking at. Be sure you know them all. All right, so first we're going to have the testes. So this testes, if we're talking about two, the pair, and they are a paired organ. Testicle, if we are talking about one, and this is, of course, where sperm is made. These are the male gonads, and they produce not only sperm, but they also produce testosterone. Each testicle is in its own pouch on one side of the scrotum and is connected to the abdomen by a spermatic cord and the cremator muscle. Here we have the epididymis, and this is where sperm is stored. It wraps around the superior and posterior edge of the testes, and this is actually made of several feet of long, thin tubules that are tightly coiled into a small mass. Sperm produced in the testes will move into the epididymis in order for maturation to occur. All right, so next we have the vas deferens, also called the ductus deferens, and this is a passageway for sperm. It's a muscular tube that carries the sperm superiorly from the epididymis to the abdominal cavity and then on to the ejaculatory duct. This is going to be wider than the epididymis, and this stores mature sperm. All right, so here we have the seminal vesicles, and it's hard to tell on these models, but this is actually a pair of lumpy exocrine glands. They store and produce some of the fluid that is part of the liquid portion of semen, and it's about 2 inches long, located posterior to the urinary bladder and anterior to the rectum. All right, we're looking here at the bulbourethral gland, which is sometimes called the Cowper's gland. So this is a pair of pea-sized exocrine glands. It's inferior or just below the prostate and anterior or right in front of the anus. These secrete that alkaline fluid into the urethra that lubricates the urethra but also neutralizes the acid from the urine. That's going to help the sperm to stay alive. All right, next we have the prostate gland. This is probably something you're familiar with, especially if you're a male. It's a walnut-sized exocrine gland. It borders the inferior end of the urinary bladder and surrounds the urethra. So this is why people that have an enlarged prostate will have problems voiding their urine. It produces a large portion of the fluid that makes up the semen, and this fluid will help nourish and protect the sperm. All right, so here we have the ejaculatory duct, and that's just what it sounds like. During ejaculation, the duct will open and expel the sperm from the seminal vesicle into the urethra. All right, so here we have the urethra, and this is a tube that's going to conduct that urine and semen from the bladder and the ejaculatory duct to the outside of the body. So it's going to go to the exterior through the urethra. This is an 8 to 10 inch long muscular tube. It passes through the prostate and ends at the external urethral orifice, which is located at the tip of the penis. Urine exiting the body from the urinary bladder also will pass through the urethra. All right, so first here we have the penis, and this is going to be 8A, so you can obviously see the penis. This is the male external organ located superior to the scrotum and inferior to the umbilicus, which would be where your belly button is. The penis is roughly cylindrical in shape, usually contains the urethra and external opening to the urethra. And there are large pockets of erectile tissue in the penis that allow it to fill with blood and come erect. So the corpus spongiosum is that mass of erectile tissue. It, alongside the corpus cavernosum of the penis, is going to terminate at the glands, and it's going to prevent the urethra from pinching off and closing during an erection, and it's going to support the penis during erection and ejaculation. All right, so here is the other specialized tissue here, corpus cavernosum. This is a spongy erectile tissue, and it supports the penis as well during erection and ejaculation. All right, so next we have the glans penis, which is actually the rounded head or the tip of the penis. It is a sensitive bulbous structure at the distal end of the penis. It is anatomically homologous to the clitoral glands of the female. The urethral opening, of course, is located in the middle. Here we have the prepuce, which is commonly called the foreskin. The foreskin. So at the beginning of the glans penis, it's a circular fold of skin that extends forward to cover the glans. It's often removed via circumcision, and this protects the glans against urine, feces, or any other type of irritation. All right, so here we have the scrotum, and this is just a pouch of skin, basically, that contains the testicles. So it's just a housing. All right, so this is the male peritoneum. You can see the inferior fascia. You can see the other muscles there as well. It's just not all that complicated here, but this is the look at what the peritoneum is. All right, so we're going to look at a few of these fetal structures. There aren't a whole lot of good models, but you may see a picture, or if I can find a picture, this is actually pictures of models, a picture of these models in order for you to label these either on your worksheet or in for your exam. So if I'm not able to get a good labeling sheet for you, do study these and be sure you know these. There's just a few, and most of them are kind of common sense. Limb buds, spinal cord, you can find those. The spinal cord is going to be kind of right here. Some of it is out of view, but it's going along right in here. So I think I have this picture posted again for you. All right, so we're going to look at the chorion and the amnion. The chorion is the outermost membrane here. Okay, so this is chorion, so it's the outermost membrane surrounding the embryo, and it contributes actually to the formation of the placenta. And then we have the amnion, okay, and so the amnion in here, and that's the membrane that closely covers the embryo, nearest the embryo, and it's filled with amniotic fluid. So that is typically the amniotic sac. It's going to expand to become the amniotic sac and protect that fetal environment. And then we also have the umbilical cord, which you can't see in that first picture, but you can here in the second. You can see the umbilical cord here. And that is a connection between the embryo or fetus and the placenta. So this is how they get their nourishment. Physiologically and genetically, this is part of the fetus. We supply the fetus with oxygen, nutrients, etc. From the placenta, and then the nutrient depleted blood, once those are dropped off, the blood will return back through the placenta to the mother to be able to get the rest of the things it needs to come back and nourish the fetus again. All right, so you can see the different structures here. We don't study all of the developmental stages. It's actually quite interesting to look at the changes as you go through the developmental stages, but we don't spend a whole lot of time on embryology here. But you can see here, let's find a good color. Here we have the heart, and then here is the tail. And of course, this is the head here, actually probably more the whole thing here. And then you have your arm buds and leg buds in these places here as well. And then the spinal cord. And you can see this is much more primitive. So this is the heart bulge, the beginning of the tail and leg bud here. All right, so that does it. This is the last lecture for lab, I do believe. So congratulations.